Hello, my lovelies. Today, Torrin's thoughts on televisual consumption. Ooh, big long words. Yes. I'm turning 40 next Friday, and this leads to reflections. Lately, I am watching a lot of TV shows that I missed the first time around. Um, But basically, this is going to be sort of thinking about television and such in general and how it is now as to how it was when I was young. For example, when I was young, if there was a show that everybody was talking about, and there weren't a lot of shows, everybody would sit down together as a family and watch them. Um, like I remember Family Ties, like we watched Family Ties as a family. Granted, I was still really young. I was still in grade school then. But even as I got older, certain things you would get together and watch and then talk about the next day. Which still happens today, of course, some of the big juggernaut shows like Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Sons of Anarchy. I realize two of those have ended, but still, they ended fairly recently. But they call them water cooler shows, I guess. Yeah. So that still happens. It still does happen that people make it a priority to watch the shows when they air so they can talk about them with everybody the next day. But by and large, there are only a handful of shows where that happens. Most people consume their television by various other means, either Hulu or Amazon Prime or Netflix. Some people just straight up buy DVDs or Blu-ray or what have you. And some people find other ways to watch things that may not be exactly legal, whichever. But it's different. It's so much different than when I was young. For example, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, I didn't even really know that Buffy was a thing until I was out of college. Buffy started while I was in college, but I didn't really watch a lot of TV in college. I was busy doing many other things, having a very active social life, studying, what have you. So I discovered Buffy, I think it was technically in season 5. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I discovered Buffy by being awake at 3 a.m. one day and just flipping through channels and finding, I believe it was a rerun from season 3 on, and I just stopped because I'm like, oh, this is Buffy. Like I was aware that Buffy was a thing, but I only had 1 or 2 friends that watched it and whatever. So I watched, they had like a block of 4 episodes. So I watched 4 episodes from the middle of season 3 of Buffy and was like, oh, this is awesome. So I went to Best Buy the next day and bought all of the seasons and watched them all on DVD until I caught up with the show. But even then, I did not watch it as it was happening. I would wait until the season was over and would come out on DVD, and then I would buy that season and then watch it all at once, or in 2 or 3 sittings. Binge watching wasn't even a term when I started binge watching things. Supernatural was the same way. Granted, one of my friends told me about Supernatural right in the middle of the first season, but I didn't catch it until season 2. And by then I was like, oh, and even now I don't watch Supernatural when it's on. I buy the DVDs. Although I will watch it in reruns if I'm flipping through channels and it's on and I'm doing other things, I'll let them play. It's weird, I know. Yes, so when I was young, if you missed a television show that was, something that you watched every week, if you missed it, you missed it. it didn't get rerun. Sometimes some shows would have reruns on during the summer, but back then networks did a lot of like summer programming type stuff, so it wouldn't be reruns all the time. But like TV didn't go straight to video. You couldn't buy DVD. There weren't even DVDs, people. It was on VHS tapes. And I am old enough that they didn't have VHS tapes when I was little. I think I was probably 6 or 7 before they kind of became a thing. And I was, well, I don't know, 10 years old when my family got a VCR for the first time. So needless to say, yeah, if you missed it, you missed it. And that was that. Oh, well, you'd never get to see it again. That doesn't happen anymore. If you miss something on its first run, or if you miss an entire series, you can go back and watch it at any time because it's probably on a streaming service somewhere. Case in point, what are some of the shows that I missed the first time around? Now, I've already told you about Buffy and Supernatural, and I own those on DVD. The other DVD shows that I own are Angel, because it goes along with Buffy. Hello. Firefly, of course, although I did watch Firefly as it aired, week to week, out of order. But I did watch it. So it's not my fault it got canceled, I promise. What else? Smallville, half of it. I actually got so mad at the show I stopped buying it. But I think I have up to season 5 or whatever. I specifically remember an episode where Lana got Clark's powers and I rage quit in the middle of the episode and never watched after it. I just couldn't. I was so mad. I hated the character of Lana Lang, you guys, like hated. And it's not Kristen Cruick's fault. That's a beautiful girl and it's not her fault. But I was just so done with Lana by the time. Anyways, I digress. So Smallville was one of those shows, but I rage quit that show, as sometimes happens. And Game of Thrones. I have bought Game of Thrones on DVD and Blu-ray, depending on what they had available, so that I could watch it again, because I feel like it's a show that I could watch again. I'm also really looking forward to getting the complete series of Hannibal on Blu-ray, so I will always have it, kind of thing. By and large, though, I watch things streaming now. And I am a world-class binge watcher. I like to watch everything back to back. I like being able to continue the story at my own pace. And if it's like I have a day where I don't feel good at all, and I know I'm just going to sit on the couch. You know what's nice? Having an entire season or an entire series to watch. Granted, I can't watch a whole series in one day, but you guys get what I'm saying. I can watch it. I can watch it as I want to. I have time for one episode. I can watch an episode. I have time for 2 episodes. Cool. I'll watch them back to back. I have time for the entire season. Daredevil. I watch it all at once. And I like that. I like that I have the ability to do that, because that's what I did with my DVDs, with my Buffy DVDs. In 2 days, I could watch the entire season. I didn't have to wait week to week to week, as I found out recently with The Walking Dead. This past season of The Walking Dead, up until the mid-season hiatus, I watched week to week, and then I stopped. So I have the second half of the season all DVR'd and saved that I will watch when I feel up to it, because The Walking Dead is a show that suffers from the week-to-week format. It was so much more enjoyable for me to watch it in a seasonal chunk, because I feel like then you get the whole story. Then the episodes that seem to drag don't drag so much when they're in a block. Do you know what I mean? Like if they do a one-off episode, or one where we're only following one character or 2 characters, when you're in the midst of watching it week to week, you want to know what's happening. And then all of a sudden, you're just here. This is all we're talking about. We're ignoring the entire other cast. It feels like it drags it down. When you are watching that one right after the other, you will find that those episodes are needed because it is a place for you to take your breath. When you watch it all in a row, you're like, oh, thank goodness I needed a break before we get back to the action. That's just an example, but it's the one that was on the top of my head. But there are a lot of shows like that, where if you were waiting week to week, some of the episodes seem to drag. Game of Thrones is like that. Some of the episodes, I'm just like, it's nothing but exposition. I am so bored. Let's get on with it. And then there are other episodes that it seems like it's all action, and that's it. It's just action, action, action. And you feel a little overwhelmed. Whereas when it's taken as a whole, the pacing is much better. And I have to believe that the showrunners and the people making the show realize that their audience, or a lot of their future audience, is going to consume their product kind of in one or two sittings. So they pace the entirety of a season for the binge watcher. I mean, I have to believe that, because that's really what it seems like to me. And it's kind of brilliant, because I am a binge watcher and I prefer it that way. I like having the scope of an entire season or story available to me to partake of it as quickly or as slowly as I want to. And that's kind of a thing of beauty. But it's also kind of crazy how far we've come, since I was little, on how easy it is for us to be able to watch whatever it is we want to watch, whenever we want to watch it. It makes us, as the viewers, so much more powerful than we once were. When I was young, we got 3 channels. So at 8 o'clock at night, you could watch one of 3 shows, or you could pop in a movie. That was it. You had no other options. Like, we didn't have cable, so we didn't even have that option. We were just basic. And now at 8 o'clock at night, I have 200 channels or more. I'm sure there are more, but it's mostly full of stuff I don't want to watch anyway. Or I could watch something that I have previously recorded on my DVR. Or I could hit on demand and catch a show that way. Or I can load up the Netflix and watch something that way. Or I can get on YouTube and watch videos if that's what I feel like. Whatever I could possibly want to entertain my brain at any given point in time, I can do it. I can do it at my leisure. And on many things. I don't just have to watch it on the TV. I can watch it on my phone if I'm someplace. I can watch it on my tablet. I can watch it on my computer. It's amazing. Technology is so amazing. Yeah. But anyways, because of this advancement in technology, I am now able to see things that I missed the first time around and that are awesome and still hold up well. The one I'm thinking of from the top of my head is The Wire. I am just getting ready to start season 5 of The Wire. That's the very last season. The show is so good. This show was made in 2002. So by this time, it's old, right? But it is holding up well because it is that well written. I hadn't really heard a lot of stuff about The Wire. The only things I knew about The Wire were that Aidan Gillen, Peter Baelish, Littlefinger, was apparently on The Wire. Idris Elba was on The Wire, and his character was Stringer Bell. And there was some character on the show named Omar. That is exactly everything I knew about The Wire. I never watched it and never went to seek it out because I just thought it was about gangsters or mob people or crooked cops or whatever. And I was like, I don't know if it's really my bag. But my favorite podcast covered it. Unspoiled. The Unspoiled podcast covered The Wire, in case you want to check that out. But anyways, yeah, one of my very, very favorite podcasters covered it. So in order to be able to listen to all of her episodes of where they covered The Wire, I needed to watch it first. So I'm like, well, I'll give it an episode or 2 and see if it's okay. Who knows? It's excellent. It's like, it's a great show. And it's not what I thought it was. I mean, yes, there are gangsters. And yes, there are cops. And some of them are really stupid cops. I don't know, if, well, a little bit crooked. Regardless, but mostly it's just about human struggles in their environment. And it's excellent. And the writing's good. And the acting's good. And it's kind of a blast from the past right now sometimes, because it was made just long enough ago that there's that little bit of a divide. But that's something that I never would have been able to get my hands on back in the day. If I had missed it, I'd have just missed it. And I'd never known. But because of the way the technology is today, I can watch it now. And I can watch 5 episodes in a row. Although I do have to take a little more time with The Wire because it's pretty heavy and that's a lot for me. I have to sprinkle in fun stuff, just to take that heaviness off me a little bit. But that's one show. Or, for example, The Walking Dead. I rage quit in season 2. And I just figured I'm not going to watch this show again. And then I was like, you know what? Let me give it another chance. And that's when I found out that watching it all in a row, back to back, makes it a much better show than just watching week to week. Because that's available to me. I can do that if I want to. So yeah, I guess that's my my thoughts on it. I think it's great. I think it's awesome that we now have the power to control how we consume our television. Whether we want to watch it as it happens, if we want to buy it on DVD or Blu-ray, or if we just want to stream it or tape it. I still say tape it. I just had this conversation with Joe the other day. Record it, because it is a digital recording on our DVR. But yeah, however you'd like to consume it, it is available there for your consumption on your own terms. And I think that is a beautiful thing. Alrighty, let's keep it under 20 minutes. Oh my God, I just went forever. So I would just like to say I will see you tomorrow. I know this is a lot of eye makeup on my face, but I was trying something new today, and wow, maybe for a gig, but probably not in real life. Alrighty, my lovelies, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Yeah, and I love you. Bye.